guys, this is Jayendra Singh. I'm a transportation and automobile designer and a content creator at Niwwrd. Today we had a really fun and informative chat with ex-Design Odyssey interns. Hope you like it. Let's start it. I just want to know about the overall experience that you guys got from the Design Odyssey internships. It would be really great to know about that. And so my first question is basically Design Odyssey's mission statement is all about self-discovery. So how do you guys think the design internship turned out for you? Do you learn something new about you? Maybe a new sketching style, or maybe a new rendering style, or a design pattern, maybe design thinking pattern. We can start with Madhav, if you want.
We did like a couple of projects in the starting, which were just to sort of analyze my skill set, see what I was good at. And I think that's important in an internship, especially because it was one of my more like first automotive internships with a, let's say, larger duration. And throughout the process, it was about discovering, okay, this works for me or this doesn't. And then once you see the project output, you get to decide, okay, was it worth it? Did you really enjoy doing this? And I think that continued beyond the first two ones, and it also progressed to the one major interior that I had to do. And when it comes to learning something new, I realized that um, as a person, I really like to research a lot, and that's something that I found, let's say, fresh, that I was trying to use UX elements within interior design, where you use certain like journey mapping. Journey mapping is a way you can identify what all your user requires at different, let's say, stages in his journey, and that helps you identify what your interior should have. So this process of combining UX, let's say, researching methods with designing interiors was something that I got through Design Odyssey. So that was pretty helpful.
So this internship was like a time like where I could combine all my skills that I've learned in the college. So that was a time where I could apply all these skills and to understand like where my level is like comparing with the industry, like because like that was the time like where I had to start doing my graduation project. And this was a time like I kind of felt like which was a level up in like my learning path, like learning. So before that, like every like the project in like academic way, like it had like a certain timeline, but like it wasn't rigorous like how I did in the Design Odyssey internship. Like so that was the first time like I would like push that hard. So that helped me discover like to what limit I could go. And in terms of like learning the skills also, like research, the research part was like one of my weak points. So like connecting the research with the creative part of the project was like one of the integral part of this project, because uh, seeing like so it's kind of like it was basically a styling project, but like connecting to something relevant at that time. So something core to what the brand lies, like something Korean, something like purely Korean. So that so finding that through the research was like one of the critical part of that project. So that helped me a lot in like in further like while doing further like new projects. So and there was like a lot of eye openers. Like I thought like I could do a lot of stuff before, like that was just in my mind. Like when it was like put into reality, like I wasn't up to that expectation, like what I thought I could do. But like this kind of helped me like learn all those stuff and like clear all those uh, expectations that I had in mind, and like try to be flexible and like keep the eye open to like learn more stuff.
So for me, it was again, it was like the biggest eye opener. First of all, like I think as youngsters, right after you graduate, you want to have a good mentor, or you want to be part of a creative space, so you can really get a more clear vision of what you want. You know, when you're in college, you've kind of thrown your skill set is kind of thrown or spread across when you have different team members. You really don't. So they'll be like, okay, you take care of this, you care of that, but probably you're good in something else. So you really don't get to test your skill set, have a clear vision of what you are good at, what you don't like. You just want to do a cool car, and you are in that loop. You don't have that maturity. What I really came across during my time with Design Odyssey was at the first, the mentor, since it was a one-on-one experience, it was a great thing because they got to really understand us as a person. As fresh graduates back then, we're talking about a year back, 2 years back, you do not have that vision and clarity about yourself first. You just want to get into the industry like a rabbit. Just want to get placed a job. You don't know what you would want to do, but it's a rat race. But I think before that, it needs a lot of prep from your perspective. What is design for you? How do you want to channel yourself in the industry? This was a very important. This gave us that opportunity, at least for me personally speaking, to really understand what my skill set is, and to have a mentor kind of channel your vision is really important.
Because because for designers, especially if you want to design a product or a vehicle for someone else, you have to know yourself first, right? And
yes.
That helped you. So that is a really cool point.
Because the feedback when they saw my portfolio, the selection phase, was they told me that I have a really good understanding of storytelling and research. Research in a different fashion, like how Madhav is interested in incorporating UX UI, like he just shared. I think mine is more on story building and trying to pick on some collages, then create a story to the product. So they said, okay, that's the reason, they gave me this brief also, which I thought was stupid in the first thing, but that really was to tap in more into my strong skill set, which I myself wasn't aware. Now back then it was a very gray space. Okay, I want to be a designer, any brand, I just want to, but now I have at least a clarity. At least I'm not in that gray space. At least it's more black and white. I kind of know and pick what my strong skill sets are. So that was the biggest takeaway in terms of discovery. Not knowing what you are good at, but much later, this is something that you really want to do. And now you give me more projects like this, like something that's really new and fresh. I'm happy to go. I realized this, that I do not like to just do these. It's a controversial statement, but not cliche stuff, because traditional car design, everyone's doing it. People are far better than us who are in the industry sketching. Now, with these younger generations, I realized the industry wants thinkers, not people who are really good at sketching, but how can you really think fresh and then also come with a skill set of executing that idea. But and that way it was a big discovery for me, like to know what was your skill set. It was a very new experience for all of us, because internship is a space where you want to interact with a lot of creative youngsters and you want to sit on a round table and work together. So that was definitely not what we expected. I think what was challenging was, like, you're sitting in four walls and we don't know who these guys are, and they kind of mentoring you over call. So it was quite a challenge in the beginning, but over time, I think it was a great experience.
So I did 3 projects in this internship, and the first 2 were short projects, something just very fun, very abstract, but with a definite goal that, okay, you have to do a particular thing, and then you just identify what your skill set is from that. So the first one was to create a sculpture for a Korean, let's say, city, like something. The idea was to see how you can sort of visualize in an actual physical manner what Hyundai would create as a sculpture. And I was sort of thrown off at the start by this brief because, as I said, I don't do exterior design. I don't do something that's very, let's say, core styling. And I thought, okay, what am I going to do in this? And then I just gave it a shot. And then I realized that, okay, it's sort of similar to what I do later on in interiors as well, because you have to think, if you're thinking of a sculpture, you have to think of an architecture. And that's something that's very common with interiors as well. You have to think of a package of an architecture of what it represents, dimensions, etc. And that that sort of gave me an idea, and then we executed sculpture and we had to do an entire story around it, and it was fun. So that was the first project. And the second one, which was the simulator, the async and simulator. So the idea behind that was that sir wanted me to do something related to interiors, an interior sculpture. And that meant calling it an interior sculpture meant it had to be abstract. And but still, like, somehow I tried to find meaning in it. I tried to come up with a story. So my first thought was inspired by the cubic design language that the rear lights of the Ionic 5 as well as the
Okay, okay,
prophecy
yeah,
concept,
yeah.
both of them have very pixel based let's say design elements. So that was something interesting because it's very, like, in a way it's very brutalist design. It's not sculpted. There's no, let's say, there's no traditional design approach in that, and then you're just throwing in a lot of geometry. So I took those pixel inspired, let's say, design cues, and I came up with something which was essentially just a block with a helmet carved inside. He immediately had this idea, okay, look, you made a helmet, why don't you convert this into a driving simulator? So it's this stimulus, that the mentors give. Like, you even if you think of it, like, maybe it'll come to you as an idea much later, but they, because it's an external point of view, they know, okay, so can be pushed in that way. And having that eye for identifying such ideas is what made this mentorship very great. So then it
That
got
was your
converted
second
into a
one.
driving. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was my second one, which got converted into like a cyber driving simulator and everything. And the third one was the main project, which was an interior that I had to do for a family car in India. And
Okay.
that like this is where the research and everything came in. And one very interesting thing that we discovered in India is that the UX of the rear seat is much more important than the front, because you have you have the children, you have the elders sitting at the back, and you need to keep them engaged with different stuff. And somehow this sort of sitting in the rear seat is the key, and using that to drive the entire concept is what made me divide the interior into two zones. So one was the social zone, where you have either the grandparents or the children just sitting together, or it could be a group of friends lounging in that particular area. And the other zone is the one where you expect the couple, because generally the guy drives, or even if it's a woman, then it's a couple, and you are sitting in the front and you want that privacy, but you want access to the rear people as well because it's a family. So creating that interior with that sentiment is what the third project was all about. Yeah.
The project started like with like a clear idea of like I'll be doing like I've selected like a segment after discussion with my mentor. So I
Okay.
thought like I'll be doing a city car, and then the next stage of like defining the brief was to like research more on the brand culture. So from that point, like I came up with K-pop trend. So like it's the Korean music trend, like which was like frenzy all over the world. And another like insight was the brand collaboration which was happening over the time. So I try to combine both these and like come up with a concept where Hyundai has like a collaboration with the K-pop band.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yes,
which is
yes.
Blackpink. And so that was the initial point of the that's how I defined the brief.
So the very first time I was given the brief, so the brief was again to design a go-kart kit car. So I just started with watching a bunch of videos. How can we go about it? So one of the initial ideas, we really want to change the perception of Hyundai as a brand. Because when you talk about Hyundai to anyone, the first thought that comes to your mind is a budget-friendly brand, a brand which probably you don't admire. Like you look at German brands and be like, that's something you want to own. But Hyundai is you end up buying probably because it's easy in your pocket. At least the initial perception of people. So the intent was to introduce like a new kind of product which will change the entire brand philosophy or the perception. So the idea was to make it more fun and exciting, something that you want to buy next. So that was the initial idea that we shared. So then when I started going about watching these bunch of videos, there was this understanding of bonding together, having fun. So then again, someone mentoring you and guiding you. So he said, you're quite good with the storytelling. So he said, come up with a nice story because it doesn't make sense for Hyundai to make go-karts. And so we need to have a strong reason that why this product is existing. So
That is
then
very important.
so then we spent solid 2 weeks to get that story right. So then there was this cool idea of trying to bond a kid and his father together and bring this sense of nostalgia into the kid, like how we adored German cars, like back then the 70s Mercs, and now we look at Merc as a brand we kind of resonate with. So we wanted to bring that with Hyundai, something that you don't see with Korean brands. So we want that. So that was like the key story, or the point we stuck with. And then after that, I started with the project, because once you dive into that emotion of creating something fun and unique, your results will speak the same. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense to sketch some random go-kart. Like, it needs to have an emotion to make it look interesting. And that was the whole intent of the project itself. So we spent good time with the storytelling, and then we got right into designing the models. First of all, it was a challenge to start with because you have multiple factors to satisfy. Like, you have a personal mobility, you have a go-kart, and then you have something else. So the biggest challenge was, how do we get this right in a package? Because the intent was to make it look unibody in terms of design, and not like you stuck 3 Legos which look out of place. It was quite interesting to explore. So for this, I started with collages. So I went on Pinterest, downloaded a few images, and mishmashed them together. So you kind of have a hint or an essence in terms of materials and color already. And then the process was, again, taking that essence into 3D and exploring some forms which could potentially work. And after that, it was also interesting to take a lot of influence from product design and toy design, because it also, you're talking about kids, not just about satisfying an adult who wants to race, and the product is for the kids at the end of the day. So it was quite interesting to kind of focus on these 3 elements, and then at the end result was something radical in terms of package itself.
Creating a single product with a toys features in it, and creating something for an adult, and combining it would be a really big challenge for you.
Yes, because the project design was a challenge from the start. Like I said, it was a go-kart, something that I've not done before, and trying to satisfy a lot of elements, marrying them together and making it look something unique was a big challenge itself to deliver that.
Initially, when I expected a remote internship, I had very low expectations. Like, it will be the review might be once a week. So getting in touch with will be very difficult, but it was so rigorous. Like, they used to take the reviews every day, give the feedback every day. It was really pushed us to bring out the best out of us. Really involved in it, because they were taking lot of their time, giving a review and spending time with the interns every day. That too remotely, it's difficult for them also. They are taking their time out of their family time, and they're spending for us. So that way, I really appreciate the mentors for taking out the time and helping us out.
How has things changed after the internship?
As Sachin mentioned, that we because it was a remote internship, it would have been, let's say, something like 1 review a week, and then you're just working on your own. But the fact that they sort of had daily reviews and really just kept us in the zone, kept us focused, and they taught us discipline. Because initially, as automotive designers, we try to really just have this very fancy perception of the industry, that okay, we'll get to do whatever we want, we'll get to style cool cars whenever we want, and this sort of rigorous discipline to follow a process, to appreciate every single part of the journey and come up with a solution which has been tried and tested and just fixed throughout the duration. That's what something that taught me. And to say that things were changing after the internship, one major thing that I think that changed for me was my perception of what the automotive industry is. That it's not going to, not everything is going to be the way you want it to be, and it's you have to learn to work with certain, let's say, the brief, the process, and like, appreciate it for what it is. Yeah, so that's one thing.
Any advice that you guys want to give to the people coming coming this year and doing internship?
I would say just trust the guys, just trust the mentors, because though you might be surprised and pissed off for whatever reasons at the initial point, that okay, why did they give this brief? I'm sure they thought about it 100 times why they gave you, and you will be surprised and completely fulfilled with the end result. That is for sure my biggest takeaway, which was with my experience. And I'm sure and super positive that it will be the same for the upcoming guys as well. So yeah.
So like my advice is like, if you want to be in your comfort zone, then like this is not the best place. Like because like if you want to do like the thing you're comfortable with, then you can do it your own. Like it's like going outside that space like help you to explore more and like find the like to which level you can go. So regarding like what Komal said, they will make the comments or like they will give you a direction. You will think like, why am I doing this? Or like something, you'll have those thoughts like, with what direction am I going in? Like you will be lost, but like they will have a clear idea and like guide you in the right path. So like believe in them. So that's the main thing. So that will like lead to a great result.
Yeah, to just add on to that, I really want to put this out is because my second project, which I did with Hyundai, it was a hatchback project. So when the brief was shot at me, again, I was like again, something family oriented. I want to do something cool and fun. But because of that project, that's going to soon land me my first job. Because this book, so they picked that project and they really gave points that why it is like this, because the design of that was super simple. The intent was to have no surfaces, really clean, crisp design, which sounds boring at first, because as transport guys, you want to do cool, exciting stuff, pull 1,000 surfaces, but as challenging it was, I'm happy to share that because of that project, that will soon be landing me my first job. So you really never know. You might be disappointed or pissed at the start, but you really do not know where it will take you. So just trust that process and trust the guys who are handling you, because they're super experienced. And yeah, it's only because they know you well they've given you that. So yeah,
I think I honestly believe I'm not in a position that I'll be giving advice to people at this stage. But if I just had something to say to people who are coming for this year's course, I feel my advice obviously would be to trust them, but also trust yourself, like experiment. This is the time where you have the liberty to just sort of do whatever you want because you're in that phase. And maybe not like, okay, 10 out of 10 times, maybe not, don't listen to them like 10 out of 10 times. Maybe just sometimes trust your gut. Just have a look at what you feel the project should be about. And they love to be proven wrong. That's something I've observed. They love, if you tell them that this is going to work this way, and you convince them with a good argument, with good, let's say, sketches and a good direction, they'll more than happily accept what you have, and they'll tell you that, okay, develop it this way. So experiment and just try to find your, let's say, again, coming full circle back to that first keyword, self-discovery. And just really have that thought in mind.
I think this is a space where you can make mistakes, and like going back to what Madhav said, the term discovery, it comes as a surprise for you at the end, because you're kind of thrown into a lot of challenges, and using their experience and your skill set, you really don't know what you'll produce, and you'll be surprised with what your own capabilities are, which you might not have possessed them or might not have tapped into them earlier, but over time you will really discover your true potential, and you'll also have at least some clarity on what you like, and what are the things that you really have to improve on. At least you'll pass out with some more clarity and
Yeah.
hopefully some really successful projects to be proud of.
That's a really cool way to end it, because what I feel is it's like an opportunity to get an industry experience also as well, because you're mentored by people from industry, good designers as well. You are allowed to do mistakes and you get the freedom.
Yes.
What else do you
Yeah.
want? It's like
Yeah.
that.
True, because ideally an internship you would want it to be corporate, where you are in a
Yeah.
studio, but the pressure also that comes with it is insane, because you really want to put your best. But the advantage of Design Odyssey, at least in this context, is it's more personalized. You have that comfort of being in your home. It's more intimate between the trainer and you itself, which you probably won't have it in a studio, because you have 10 other guys on top of you and they expect you to churn out interesting stuff every single day. But here the advantage of that is it's more intimate. You really get to bond as an individual with your mentor, and you can really make sure that they stick with you for long, and you can someone whom you can share and get the most.
So yeah, I guess that's it. Like, I just want to thank you guys for giving your time, and it was a great experience for me as well. And just you guys able to tell about your learnings and all. It was great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see these two guys again.
Yes.
And nice to meet you as well. Yeah.
Same here.